Most employees, if you really study it, they have really two main things they're looking for. They want to be a part of something that's bigger than them, that they can believe in and be proud of their workplace. And number two, they want to know that they're winning. They do tough jobs, right?
Yeah.
They do tough jobs every day, and sometimes they're boring and sometimes they're difficult physically. And so they need to know they're appreciated for that.
Yeah.
That's a beauty of fabrication. So then you get all these great people that work together. So, I am more excited about the metal fabrication business and this industry, metal fabrication industry, than I probably ever have been.
Welcome to the Ed Talks podcast. I'm your host, Ed Youdell, President and CEO of the Fabricators and Manufacturers Association, where we believe the key to unlocking our industry's full potential is through attracting, developing, and engaging the manufacturing workforce. Join me as I speak with business leaders about their unique approaches to workforce development and shaping the future of the industry.
Want to level up your manufacturing or metal fabrication career? Fabricators and Manufacturers Association connects you with the education, training, and community you need to stay ahead. As an FMA member, you'll get access to exclusive resources, industry events, and a network of professionals who share your passion for making things better. Join today and start building your future in manufacturing at fmamfg.org. And now, back to the episode.
Welcome in. We're here with Troy Berg, President and CEO of Dane Manufacturing, located in Waunakee, Wisconsin, a 100-year-old manufacturing company. Troy took on the business in 2001, number 33 on the Fab 40 list, and we're delighted to have you with us for Ed Talks.
Thank you, Ed, for having me today.
Yeah, our pleasure. So the format of the discussion will follow something very important to us at FMA, the workforce life cycle. We try to have our discussions with leaders like yourselves follow the pattern of how you're attracting talent, how are you developing talent, and how are you engaging with the community, talent, your partners, to make a successful business like Dane certainly is. Well, first place I like to start is with your mission. If you give me a minute, I'd like to read it. We exist to enable the enrichment of our employees, customers, and community through an entrepreneurial spirit and innovative metal solutions. I just think the word enrichment is fabulous. So how did you guys develop your mission, and tell me a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so it's been like everything, it's a journey. And as we continued to grow and lots of people stayed with our company, we have a very, very low turnover rate. Greg and I really wrestled with the mission to make sure it really defined and encapsulated who we are as a company, and that it would speak not only to the outside audience, but it would actually resonate with our internal customers, which are the employees. To me, it's all about the employees. And we have, you'll hear throughout the podcast here, I'll talk about it several times, that I have a belief that employees come first, even before customers. And I know that sometimes sits uneasy with some people. The employee's number one job then is to make sure they take care of the customer. But it's in that order. And then from that, if the employee does a good job taking care of the customers, you generate a profit in that order. So that's my belief in my core and my center.
It's just a great approach. So you came to Dane, you purchased the company in 2001. How did you come to find Dane, or how did they come to find you? How did this begin?
Yeah, so I started a small design business, kind of product development company in the mid-90s when I left corporate America, and was really missing manufacturing because that's what I came out of school with, the mechanical engineering with a manufacturing emphasis, and wanted to get back to manufacturing. And so a broker approached me knowing that I had a manufacturing background. He was actually a real estate broker that I had looked to rent space from on as that business grew from small to larger, I needed more space. And so the building that I was looking at buying with him eventually got purchased by a large telecom company, TDS in Wisconsin, and so I lost that chance. Well, he remembered that I had a manufacturing background, and so he approached me with the business, and it was for sale. So then how we got the deal done was I didn't have enough money to close, so I had an investor. About a month before closing, the investor backed out on me. And so my wife and I had saved about 25% of the down payment, but I needed a lot of capital, and I needed a chance to get the deal done. And my mom stepped up. And so I always tell the story that the reason I get to sit here and talk to you and pontificate and look smart is because of the love of two women. My wife, who believed in me, and my mom, who believed in me. And of course, mom being first, she said, honey, I'll remortgage my house. She had just paid her house off several months before that, and she went back into a mortgage on her house so that I could buy Dane. Yeah, what a great mom I have.
Yeah,
right.
Incredible.
And she's still with us, and we're still very close. And so for that, then I was able to pay my mom for 15 years, my mom and her second husband for 15 years, an interest payment. And then in 2016, she asked me to return her capital. And so I said, of course, and so a couple months later, I returned mom her original investment in Dane. It was $250,000. And I asked my accountants to do a little quick math and tell, because every couple of years I would give mom more money because things get more expensive, and I wanted her to have more and to not be stressed about life. She was in retirement with her husband. And so they calculated it, and it ended up coming a tick shy of 18% rate of return over the 15 years, the 180 payments I had made her over the 12 times 15, and it was a really great win-win. So I wouldn't be here without my mom and my wife.
It's just a fantastic story. It's one of the stories why I love our industry so much, because there's such similar stories across our industry where people have taken the risk. They found partners or people who believe in them, and they've grown great businesses. And I just love that story. And thanks for sharing it with us.
Thank you.
And hello to Mrs. Berg and Mrs. Berg. Hopefully you'll be tuning in for this. Core values obviously stem from you, the core values from the organization. And, once you tell the story, they just seem to really flow out. Core values of Dane: invest, innovate, integrity, and excellence. And the story is certainly a great example of all four of those things. Why did you land on those particular words as part of your core values?
Yeah, I think one of the things that we can talk about that may not be as great as it once was in America is that at a corporate value and at a private business owner value, you have to keep the money that the company makes inside the company. And so I don't believe that the company exists to enrich the shareholders and enrich the owners. I believe the company exists to provide jobs, number one. Number two, those jobs then take care of the customers. From that, you generate a profit. If you keep those profits inside the company, the balance sheet gets stronger, the company continues to grow, and you have to reinvest those profits into your people, your salaries, your pay raises, some bonuses when in a good year and not in a bad year, and new machinery to stay up with the current technology. Oftentimes in corporations, you'll hear, whether it's a Wall Street company or a private equity firm, this company exists to enrich the shareholders. Tell me how inspiring that is to a line worker, we say a production associate, or a middle manager or an executive. So let me get this straight. I'm going to come here every day. I'm going to work hard for Troy, and it's going to be for the enrichment of the Berg family? No, it's for the enrichment of the corporation, Dane Manufacturing. And so we always say, well, what's a corporation? It's a bunch of employees. And so it has to be for the enrichment of everybody, not just Michelle and Troy. And yes, somebody has to own it, and somebody has to guarantee the debt, and that's always the relationship with a bank. They want to have somebody to blame when it doesn't go perfectly. And that's just never my intent, right? It's always to say, hey, the profits get retained. They get rolled back into salary increases, pay increases, merit increases, however you want to call it, and new machinery and profit sharing and no matter what, everyone's getting a 401k match up to 5%, right? So that's just a given, even in a bad year. When there's extra profit, then they get a bonus, right? So that's on top. So then that gets everybody engaged. Everybody gets excited because when the team wins, they win too.
Right.
It's not just the Lombardi Trophy in the NFL and they're giving it first to the owner. Give it first to the player.
Right.
I wish they would reverse that. But they don't. And so it goes to the owner. Really great owners, they're handing that off to the head coach in 15 seconds or less, right? You watch that, and then there's the egotistical owners that will hang on to it because it's all about them. And so I always love watching that exchange of that trophy because it really exhibits, okay, is this a servant leader or is this a egotistical leader, right? So I think that's one of the things that's broken in America. It's not, the corporations don't exist to enrich the shareholders. They exist to enrich the people that work there. And if you have that philosophy as a leader, it gets a lot easier to talk to your people.
Yeah. Right. They would certainly feel you're on their side.
You're on their side. You're a man of the people. You're not a man of your private executive suite and your nice posh life. And certainly we have done better and we have nicer things. But for a long time, all the money, 100%, went right back into the company. 95% of the profits go right back into the company. Unfortunately, we have to pay taxes, so some portion does go out to pay taxes. When you're successful, you got to pay your fair share,
right?
And so the federal government and the state government gets their fair share. So,
you're in the Madison, Wisconsin area, so it's a competitive market.
Very
for talent. What are some of the things that you're doing to attract talent that make you an employer of choice in that community?
Great question. So Madison, like a lot of great cities in the United States, has a very low unemployment. So it attracts a lot of people to the region, the university, as well as the businesses in that region. And so we tend to run somewhere in the 2.4 to 2.9% unemployment. So that's a fully employed market. So how do we win over other employers in that region? Because there's a lot of good ones. And I always say it's the basics, blocking and tackling, right? So number one, when they hear that we have an employee first mentality. Number two, then we hear that we're all about not only bringing in the best talent and the best people, but then winning with the best customers. And then lastly, we retain all the profits and reinvest them in the company. Again, it's not about the enrichment of the Bergs, it's about the enrichment of the company and the team. So we talk about it in regards to all of our talent is the A team. We only want the best people. And so you'll find that people will be attracted to that because winners want to play with winners and A players want to work with A players, whether that's at the executive level, that's at the middle manager level, or that's at the production associate floor level. And so you'll find that we can attract some of the best because we take that philosophy. And then if somebody comes in with, they're very smart, they're organized, they're hardworking, we'll teach them the skills they need in the best industry in the world, which is the metal fabrication industry, right? We'll teach them the skills they need regarding welding or how to run that automated machine or how to run that press brake or, make sure we paint a perfect part or assemble it and package it. We'll teach them those skills that are specific to our customers and their needs as long as they've got those other three things. They're ethical, they're smart, and they're willing to show up for work. And then most employees, if you really study it, they have really two main things they're looking for. They want to be a part of something that's bigger than them, that they can believe in and be proud of their workplace. And number two, they want to know that they're winning. They want to win. You can watch it from little kids on the soccer field to big kids in the football field. Human beings want to win.
Yeah.
And when they know they're winning, they feel like they're part of something.
Right.
Yeah.
You mentioned you call your frontline people production associates. I love that because one of the things in all of manufacturing is a lot of times the words are used. We talk about people who work on the front line as workers. Mm-hmm. Nobody ever wanted to grow up to be a worker.
No.
Right? So we try to use terms like manufacturing professionals.
Yep.
Because we want to elevate those positions in our industry's mind so that, again, so we can attract the best and the brightest. And words are really important, and how people feel about themselves. So I really appreciate that phrase that you use. What are the things you do in the community that helps you get noticed, that where you engage with your community to help you attract talent or just be a part of the Wanakee community?
Sure. Great question. So Michelle and I have a duty and a responsibility as the leaders and the owners of the company. One is to make sure that we give back to the community, right? So one of our core values is giving back. That's both philanthropic in regard to sponsoring scholarships, sponsoring the schools, whether it's paying for a prom where the kids stay inside of the gym and somebody needs to sponsor all the food and the drinks and the DJ. So we'll give several $1,000s to make sure those kids are contained in a gym, not out on the road,
Right.
doing something that might put kids in jeopardy on a senior prom night or a junior prom night, and then up to a little bit bigger events. So we just finished sponsoring for the second year a Food for Kids pack out in the facility. So we cleared out about 20,000 square feet in the facility. We allow them to bring all of the ingredients with our docks. Then we have a couple of associates on hand to drive forklifts to unload all the food. And then we packed out, and of course we sponsor it financially, but we also sponsor it with the space. Then about 750 people came to the company over 2 days to pack out 300,000 meals. Now, I care where those meals go, and I want to make sure that a portion of them stay in Dane County, and that's exactly what the alignment with this Food for Kids is. Now, Food for Kids is nationwide, but the local branch, the people, Mick and Dee, that started it, along with Jamie, who's taking it over from them, taking the mantle from them. They started it like 25 years ago. They are in agreement that there's food insecurity within Dane County and inside of the Dane County food shelters, which my wife and children volunteer for in the summertime. They'll actually go and deliver Meals on Wheels for kids, those less fortunate. And my kids get to hand a lunch to another child their age or a little younger than them, and they get to see that child be happy that they're going to get to eat today. Food insecurity is a real thing, and so those meals get packed out, and more than half of those meals that we packed, those 30,000 meals, 300,000 meals that we packed this year, stayed in Dane County.
Fantastic.
Yeah. So then we know the Second Harvest Food Bank and River Food Bank and all the places that Michelle will take the kids in the summer are getting food from Food for Kids. And don't think it's lost on the people that run Second Harvest Food Bank or River Food Bank. When Michelle Berg shows up with the kids, that we helped stock their shelves in October every year. And so they just say, that's a great thing. And then of course the associates and the families and the managers, they all get to participate on Sunday packing out meals as well. So Michelle and I were there with two of our kids. Peter, our oldest son, and Lucas was with us. He's our 10-year-old, and Peter, our older son, is 17. He was actually packing out with his Wanakee High School club, and they were there at a table packing out their boxes of food. So that was kind of cool to see our son. He's been there 2 years in a row.
Yeah.
Once with us last year, and now with his young club from Wanakee High School. So
awesome.
Yeah.
When you explain what you're doing in the community, I can sense that it's real because you refer to the people who are running the organizations by their first names. It gives you some sense of you and that you really know the people in the community. You're not just sitting here saying, well, we support our community. You're out there rolling up your sleeves.
We wrote a check, therefore we did our part. No. We wrote a check. We opened up our facility. We welcome the people in. We get to know the people that run the charity or the philanthropic arm. We say, how can we engage with you and help you be more successful? Well, we're a little short on money. Okay, we can help with the money. How about volunteers? No, we got lots of volunteers, but we need a better place to pack out the food. Well, come here.
Yeah.
Look at this space. This would be great space. So that began a couple of years ago, and then coordinating all of that. It's a pretty big, you bring in 750 people through. It's a pretty big coordination effort. And so then Michelle, my wife, will pick up that for me as kind of the leader of that and representing the Bergs and Dane. And then all of our Dane managers will get behind Michelle to help coordinate and make it a successful event. And she does a great job with that.
When your customers hear about this, or potential customers, how do you think this helps you attract more customers to partner with Dane? What are some of the things that they say when they learn about
it's really as old as Christ's day. you have to walk your talk. And when the people see you walk your talk, in other words, you say you're going to give back, and you're there to pack out, and you're there to write a check, and you're there to make sure the event's successful. And there's many events we sponsor. That's just the latest one I'm giving an example of.
Right.
And our people do a great job. Then they say, well, Troy's here. He's got his hat on. He's sealing the food bags. He's stacking them up with the other 8 people at his table.
Right.
Troy's here. Michelle's next to him. She's feeding him the food, and there's their son, who's pouring the rice into the bag.
Right.
And so that's walking your talk.
Yeah.
And you're doing it with a smile and a joy, knowing that you're helping somebody else on the other side of that food bag. And you can get emotional about it, because when I get that deep into it, I can think about that poor kid,
right,
and that family that's struggling, that has food insecurity, and that is real. And then when you hand a little kid a lunch, it's tough.
Yeah.
It's tough. And that might be the only meal he's getting today, right? And so there's less fortunate people in this world. You got to help them.
Yeah.
Got to give them a hand up.
I'd like to say, we could stop the podcast there just because of how powerful that is. But there's more we're going to push ahead
All right.
into some other areas. But just incredible things you're doing for your community. Just a great example of a good human being. It's probably a good place to start when you're trying to run a company. We'll start there. As you say, we'll put our people first. And you've got 225 of them.
Yep.
That you're responsible for. So when you bring somebody new into the Dane Manufacturing family, what does onboarding look like?
So about a year ago, we hired a fantastic woman to come in and be our new vice president of HR, Jennifer Petrie. And Jen and I really set an intentional goal in January to do things better. One of the guys that inspires me is Darren Hardy, better every day, just a little bit better every day. And we can always do things better. And so I said, Jen, one of the things we got to do better is onboard. People got to know, and they got to hear from me the first day they get here. They got to get given, some Dane shirts and some Dane swag to identify immediately day one with the company. They've got to be shadowed and shown around. And we're not going to just drop them off at their job after hour one. Okay, you filled out your paperwork. Now it's time to go, try and make some money for the company. No, that's not how we onboard. And so the whole onboarding process has been changed. So like this podcast, I've had to get good at being on camera and answering questions and talking about the company and talking about my beliefs and what I want for the employees to come and be successful at Dane. And so we've gone through a lot of these kinds of presentations. So they hear a 4-minute video from me that took several hours to produce, just to record, and then probably 40 hours to edit so that it would be in the final format. And it sits on our website as well for customers to see what our employees come first strategy, or employees come first, core value looks like. It's not a strategy, it's a core value. And then they get to hear right from me, day one. And so earlier this year, we took out a project to build out a portion of our office to renovate it, to make it what we call the Dane Academy. And some of your folks have been up. Yeah. We're going to team with FMA next summer to host a couple Sparks Force camps at Dane through MATC and through FMA.
Oh, that's awesome.
So we're super excited about that. And so we were a little late to get to it this year, so we were just able to sponsor some Spark Force camps with some money, and we of course will continue to ramp that up as we get more and more engaged with your organization and Sparks Force to give back to the children that are interested in manufacturing, getting them interested in manufacturing, right? Getting them interested in the greatest manufacturing industry in America, the metal fabrication industry, right? And so, back to the point, we created this 1,500 square foot beautiful arrangement of brand new space, new ceilings, new lights, dimmable lights, new presentation screens, new comfortable chairs, desks that can be rearranged, whiteboards, all of it, and then painted it with our our white, black, and red kind of color scheme, and it's the Dane Academy. And then we gave it a brand, Dane Academy, and not Dane University, it's Dane Academy. You come to the academy to learn and to develop. So day one, they're in the academy. And so we try to onboard, 5 to 10 at a time and time that with our business growth and what's coming on board with customers giving us more work and more to do through winning more business with our customers.
What kind of skills are you sharing or helping them understand as it relates to metal fab?
So to begin with, we want to give them an orientation to the company. Once they've had that week's worth of orientation to the company, then we have ongoing training. So we're using some of the FMA educational materials from your team, and we're using some educational tools from some of our equipment providers and developing classes. So let's take an example. We might have a Spanish language first speaking individual join our team. We're about 50-50 with Spanish first speaking and versus English first speaking. So we have a very active English second language training class. Okay. And so the associates get paid to come to school, come to class. It happens during their work hours, the last hour of their workday, twice a week or 3 times a week, depending on the frequency. It's twice a week for English second language classes. And they come the last hour of their workday on Tuesdays and Thursdays. We bring in a professional instructor for that. We have several on staff that could probably do it, but that is her number one. That they have a business of teaching English second language classes. They come in, we pay them, and we just graduated our 3rd class in English second language. There's 30 people in there at the graduation. Then it's a big deal. I come down, I speak. The managers speak. I tell them I'm really proud of you for having the courage to come to this class and to struggle through learning a second language. I am working on my Spanish. They're working on their English. And so as we struggle to communicate, I'll want to talk to them in Spanish. They'll want to talk to me in English. And we make a deal that I'll teach you some English, you teach me some Spanish. And so it's kind of fun. And you can make it fun. And so that's one example. Another example then is once we have good communication, then they've got to learn just the basics. They got to learn about the 5 areas of waste. Too many steps, taking too many steps, not having your tools nearby, making a bad part. What does that waste look like, and how do we stop that? Because waste is something that's easy to stop if they are educated. Right. So they have classes around that. They have classes around some of the basic, obviously safety is our number one core value for the associates on the plant floor. So safety is mandatory training across the company, all the way up to me. Right. Yep. And what to look out for, the forklifts, making sure that they're aware of things that can hurt them and harm them. We have a very safe aisle structure in the plant by design. They're now aware of that going out into the factory. They all have PPE paid for by the company. Most people do that anyways. Day one, they get $125 gift certificate to go get their safety shoes. Okay. So they have to leave after the first day and tell us that they're going to go get their safety shoes. They also then, on the onboarding process, they get taken through their benefit structure. What does the health insurance look like? What is dental? What does your 401k matching look like? After 90 days, they can join the 401k program and have the company match. None of this wait for a year. We try to onboard them and treat them with respect day one. And so that's a real some tangible examples. Yeah, I could go on and on about the academy and the things we teach. As they get further into their careers with us and further into their development with us, then they come and learn, we have what we call forming, beginning and basic, intermediate, and advanced forming classes for bending, right? They'll have basic, intermediate, and advanced laser cutting classes, and they get to the point where they actually understand, the control, they understand the machine, how it actually cuts with light, energy, and they get very deep into some of the physics and some of the reasons why it works, so that they understand, hey, when I'm making these changes to the control, this is the physics I'm changing to the focal length of the light, all of these things, and then it gives them context, right, on what to do when they're at the control when things aren't going right. I think there's something wrong with the lens because last time this problem happened, it was the lens. and they get maintenance and they change the lens and the machine cuts good again.
Right.
They know not to start messing with all the settings because it was cutting fine a day ago. Something changed. What happened? Well, something got on the lens. Got some splatter, some splashback on the lens. They learn those things in the academy. Helps them kind of help with the root cause analysis when maintenance comes. And so then that saves a lot of time. The machine's back up and running. They didn't change a bunch of cut conditions. They just changed the part that was bad.
Yeah.
Stuff like
right.
that.
Yeah. I was going to ask about, employee development 5 years in. It seems like that probably hits it right on the mark there. So you did mention lasers and equipment and programming. How is technology playing a part in your development, either be it the engagement with them and the equipment and their involvement in running the equipment, or maybe there's some innovative training tools you're using that are deploying some sort of technology, online technology aspect?
Technology, I been like you, Ed, been at this a long time. Most of my career in manufacturing and around manufacturing, as it seems like the pace of technology is speeding up. It used to be Moore's Law, everything would double in 18 months. It seems like that's gone to like every 12 months now. And so when you can't go faster, it goes faster. So there's a lot of technology on the plant floor. There's a lot of technology in the front office. I kind of refer to it as carpet land. And so carpet land's goal is to serve the plant floor and to make sure that the production associates get the information and the tools they need to be successful out there. So we have a strong promote from within core value. So many of the team leaders and the supervisors came from the associate level. They know that if they excel and do well and develop, that they'll get the chance to lead a team. And that with that comes more responsibility, more requirements, a little more challenges, because leading people is always challenging. But some want it, and some are happy to just be an associate. But they know that that opportunity exists for them. If they get to the point where they've been on the plant floor for a long time in the productions, and they say, I want the next thing. I want to go into the office to impact the plant floor in a better way. Well, then they get promoted into engineering, and they become a programmer, a designer, and they get trained how to use SolidWorks. They get trained how to use the programming software. They get trained how to use the robotic teaching tools, and now they have a whole nother career path.
Right.
And they get paid as well as most engineers get paid coming out of college. So these are, very much family supporting jobs. They get paid, $70,000, $80,000, $90,000 a year. Sometimes they get to 100, and that's what young engineers get paid.
Right.
And they've been at the company for 10 years. My greatest story is a guy named Tyler Kurt. Tyler's been with us 25 years. Began on the floor when we were, 15 associates, 15 people total, company-wide. And Tyler's been there almost as long as me, just a few months short of my anniversary. He's a great guy. He leads the programming area for the company. He programs all the machines and has an unbelievable adept skill at the software of both SolidWorks plus the programming software for all the equipment. Tyler grew up on the plant floor. And so Tyler knows the pain that he creates when the program's not perfect going out to the plant floor. So he knows intimately what that looks like and feels like. So he's never going to cut a corner and send a program out there that's not to the best of his ability. At the same time, sometimes life happens with technology, changes, shifts, new things that are going on.
Yeah.
So he has to constantly, refresh and train himself. So it is, I think, the challenge we have as leaders and as, owners of technology-based companies in manufacturing. Technology can be an advantage. Too much technology at one time can be a disadvantage, right? Yeah. Software and too much advanced technology can take you in the wrong direction until you can get champions behind it and develop it. So we bring on new technology in a phased approach to try and mitigate that. It's not perfect. We're not perfect. We struggle sometimes with a brand new robot bender. We struggle sometimes with a brand new panel bender. But we eventually win, right? And that's a good feeling for the team when they know that they've taken that technology on. It took them a year to get proficient at it, And now the second year in, the thing's running all the time fluently. And when it's not running, perfectly, they then know how to tackle it, how to go at it. Well, we had this problem before. Let's not forget what we learned. And so those are some of the things we do, is to try to not bring too much technology at one time, but it's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard.
You're part of a 7-member executive team. What's the most important aspect of employee and customer engagement for you?
So when I was asked this question for my own internal people, I said it like this: I can say employees come first and mean it from the top, but I can't touch all 225 every day. And it has to come from the people below me. So they have to believe it. So my first job is to inspire my executive team, the other 6 that sit at the board table with me every week on Thursday for an hour and a half, to make sure they understand that their job is to carry that mission and those words forward to their middle managers, their supervisors, their team leaders. And then it's make sure that that's being lived out in the production on the production floor, so that the associates feel it. Our feedback to that then is our annual employee survey. So we just got that back, and 85% of the employees surveyed about, first of all, getting surveys back from the employees is an engagement question, right? So how many people that you asked to answer the survey answered it? If you get in the above 60, you're in a very good range. Well, 75% of the people we asked to participate, managers, all the way up to the executive staff, all the way down to the associates, participated. From the 75% of the participant data that came back, we got our summary like a week ago. 85% of the people feel like they're part of a company that has ethics and values and stands for something. 90% of the people believe they're part of a company and a team that wants to win, and that they like to come to work. So we had, on a net promoter score, we had a 9 out of 10, basically. 3 or 4 other measures that were all 90% as well. They feel that they're a part of a company that would make the right decisions regarding them and their well-being going forward. And so there was a lot of questions, and that most of them came back at 85 or 90, one at 85 and most of them at 90. So that warmed my heart, because that tells me that our message is making it out of the front office to the production associates, and they're hearing it not just from me, because I can't touch them all every day.
Right.
It's gotten too big, right? So that's how I leverage my executive skill to say, hey, your job is to carry that message forward, and to carry that. And so you got to go to the people, and we say things that are make some people uncomfortable. I tell them every year at Christmas time and at Thanksgiving that I not only appreciate them, but I love them. And people go, Troy means it, right? Not all of my managers are going to say that they love our employees, but I can tell you, at the president's role, I love them.
Right.
They're good people, and they need to feel that appreciation and that love, and that's what keeps them engaged. So
yeah, fantastic. And as you say, not a lot of people have the courage to say the word love in a workplace, especially in a manufacturing operation, and more importantly, mean it.
They do tough jobs, right?
Yeah.
They do tough jobs every day, and sometimes they're boring, and sometimes they're difficult physically. And so they need to know they're appreciated for that.
Yeah.
Because they're toiling sometimes in a weld cell by themselves, and those aren't easy jobs.
No.
They're hot. They're uncomfortable. We have the air charge suits, so that keeps them cool, but they're still sweating. They're lifting. They're working. They're doing hard physical labor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's talk about you for a second, and what groups or events are you engaged with that are helping you to grow and be a better leader?
Well, this group is number one on my list. The FMA organization, the group you've curated, all of the beautiful people that are in this industry. So I think it begins at FMA for me, not only at the executive retreat in the wintertime, but then Fab Tech. Anytime I get a chance to be around the executives and leaders of this industry, your group, your company's full of a lot of great people. You guys curate a lot of great people. I get inspired by that. And then after that association, then I'm on one board. I limit kind of my board roles. Of course, I'm on the Dane Manufacturing Board. That's a requirement. But I'm on one board called the WMC. That's the Wisconsin Manufacturers and Commerce Board. Same thing. I'm an extrovert, so I get energized being around other people. Not everybody does. And so for me, that's 3 times or 4 times a year I go to the WMC board, and then I engage with a lot of the leaders, and many of them are manufacturers in Wisconsin. We have a pretty prevalent manufacturing base in Wisconsin. About 20% of our jobs still are in manufacturing. So I'm with, leaders at Mercury Marine. I'm with leaders at Walker Forge. I'm with leaders at MEC and other big corporations in Wisconsin. That Dan Aaron's at Aaron's Corporation that makes lawnmowers and snowblowers, right? Just great manufacturing people. They've made their career in manufacturing. So I get to rub elbows with some companies that are much larger than me. And learn from these guys at their table, right? So that's my second place. And then I was involved in Vistage for many years. Vistage as an executive, and recently stepped away from that to focus on the company and its hyper growth right now. I didn't feel like I was giving back to that community as much as they needed from me, and I wanted to open up that chair for maybe a younger owner or executive that needs a little more mentoring. And so after 20 some years, I stepped away from that last year. But that was another. I'm still friends with most of the people that were in my group, and the leader in my group is the chairman is his name, Mark Burrell's on my board, and he still does executive coaching with me once a month.
Great.
So, yeah.
Right. In a story that one of our associates, Tim Heston, wrote about you, and it's really a unique story, I'd like to share it today, is that when you got started in leading Dane, you would go to auctions, of used equipment auctions, and try to understand what happened to that company that brought them to the place, and what could you learn from what went right there, what went wrong there. Talk about that. It's such a unique, I've never heard anybody do that before. How did that help you, get to where you are today?
Yeah. Thank you for asking the question. It's a great question. So I'm kind of a believer in some contrary thinking sometimes, and always looking for outliers and things that either are success factors or failure factors, things that cause companies to fail and go sideways. And so at all of those company auctions where I would go and look for used equipment, because we came from very small to where we are today, and we had to be very tight with our money. When we were little, we didn't have a lot of money for new equipment, so I bought some used machinery on occasion. And I would go to those auctions looking for the one nice piece of used machinery that could give us more capabilities at Dane so we could keep growing. And I would always ask the auctioneer, hey, can I go in the office? I would like to look and see some of the furniture in there that might be for sale. Yeah, sure, go ahead, And my first place was always going into the boardroom or to the main conference room or to the executive's desk, and I was always looking for clues. I was like a detective. And I would see things written on the whiteboard so many times that were never got erased. We have kind of a rule in Dane, if you write something on the whiteboard, you erase it before you leave the conference rooms and make sure that it's clean and ready for the next person coming in. Well, that's a rule we have. Not everybody follows that rule in these failed companies. So I would go into there and there would be all these ideas on the whiteboard. And I'd look at the ideas and I'd say, that's not a very good idea. I wouldn't do that if I were them. That might have led to some of their reasons why they didn't do so well. So as companies fail, the bad leadership, and I think I told you before the podcast, the Germans have a great saying in Germany where they would store apples in the root cellar. In the old times, the farm communities would do it in Wisconsin as well. We have a lot of German heritage. They say that the barrel of apples spoils from the top down. And that is true because the top of the barrel has the warmest air, and that would spoil the apples. And then down at the bottom of the barrel would be cold by the floor in a basement or a root cellar. So those of us that have basements understand that analogy. They mean it in terms of leadership. In America, we say one bad apple spoils a whole lot more. Well, in a failed company, it only takes 1 or 2 top executives to really take the company in the wrong direction. And so I'd be looking for clues so I could avoid those potholes and making those bad choices for my company. Yeah.
Really smart. It's really, I love it. Really, really cool. Last question, and so delighted to have you here on Ed Talks. What excites you the most about our industry and the opportunities in front of Dane Manufacturing over the next 5 years?
Yeah, one of the fun parts of being connected to FMA and some of the yourself and some of your great team, and then some of the other great people in this industry, I get to hear from really, really smart people like yourself and Burke Dorrit Trump and others. And, they always say...
Oh, he's never going to let you forget that you said that on air.
And you said it best this fall at FabTech, during your keynote speech, and then you repeated it at dinner, that this is really a great industry. It's full of a lot of great people. And you and I have the privilege of working in it and working around it. And it's a true blessing every day. And so we're lucky. We're very lucky. And in and around manufacturing in the United States, fabrication is one of those industries that seems to have really, really deep tentacles and is a base of what we do and what we make in America. And it just never really went offshore like a lot of the other products might have. For example, fasteners and all of the things that we need to put things together with in life. Ended up in Mexico, then China. Clothes, that ended up in Mexico and then China. But fabrication never left, and it just continued to grow. And, pretty hard to outsource a submarine or a fighter jet to, another country, especially when it's a matter of our national security.
Right.
Pretty hard to outsource our trucks and our over-the-road equipment to another country when we need them right here domestically. Pretty hard to outsource our buses, and so you look at cars and transportation and all of those things that make up our economy and our country, and it's all metal fabrication. Yep. Pretty hard to outsource all the sheet metal that would be the ductwork that heats and cools this beautiful office of yours. You can't. You can't bring it from China.
Right.
And so that's a beauty of fabrication. So then you get all these great people that work together. So I am more excited about the metal fabrication business and this industry, metal fabrication industry, than I probably ever have been. It's a conglomeration of a lot of great people. Our economy's growing, and it needs more manufacturing workers. It needs more manufacturing leaders as it continues to grow. And sometimes we forget that, the old adage of the rule of 72s. So when you have the rule of 72s on an economy, you take 72 and you divide it by the growth rate, and it'll tell you how long it takes for your industry to double or your economy to double or your inflationary rate for your money to be worth half as much, right? So in the case of growth, if our economy is growing on average at 2.5% to 3%, 72 divided by 3, that means our economy will double, every 24 years. Well, then take that back to say, okay, well, that's a lot of growth. If we're a $35 trillion economy already, then let's take that back to an annual growth rate. Well, 3% or 2.5% growth in some areas of the fabrication business are growing faster than that.
Right.
Data center, power, infrastructure. And so our economy and our America needs so much metal fabrication going forward to rebuild our infrastructures, our bridges, some of our buildings, and it's all steel fabrication, right?
Yeah.
And so I couldn't be more excited about our future, metal fabrication industry as a whole, as we leverage more technology and better efficiencies in projects through automation and taking away some of the really difficult, dangerous, boring parts about fabrication and keeping the cool parts to where the people are inputting their labor and their value add. I couldn't be more excited.
Yeah, I agree with you. We work in the greatest industry related to manufacturing. Again, delighted that you joined me today. Love learning about your company, the great things going on at Dane. We wish you continued success, and we'll see you in 2026.
Thank you, Ed, for having me today.
This podcast is a production of Fabricators and Manufacturers Association and part of the FMA Podcast Network. The show is hosted by FMA President and CEO Ed Youdell. The podcast is produced and edited by Gareth Slager and Griffin Hammond. Additional production support by Andy Flando, Amy Hudson, Dana Weicker, Mike Owens, Billy Culpa, Elizabeth Gavin, and me, Sarah Spring. Be sure to rate, review, and subscribe on your favorite podcast platform. Thank you for listening.